What's going on, guys, and welcome back to Top 5 Scary Videos. Zombie movies are always a good time. I don't know what it is about zombie flicks, but it always sparks up a conversation about what you would do if you were in that specific situation. So a lot of these movies usually are about a group of people stuck in a specific spot. The Walking Dead did that with seasons of its show, like season 3 and like most of season 4 was just them in the West Georgia Correctional Facility. So it's a pretty solid idea. Just film a group of people trying to survive. It's disgusting and bloody and, of course, always pretty violent. But that's what makes these movies fun. That's why you watch them. Maybe it's the same reason Call of Duty Zombies is so popular. People love being in scary scenarios like that. Being attacked by zombies and then just seeing if you can survive with like a crossbow or some crazy it's hilarious. Humans are so weird. Zombie flicks have been around for quite a while, and they actually get pretty creative. From George Romaro's classic 1968 Night of the Living Dead to Warm Bodies, the genre is played around quite a bit. Here to count down some must-watch zombie flicks, I'm Taylor McWatters, rocking the Toon Squad, B-ball gear, ready to go, 2-on-2, anybody, let's go, comment in the chats. Before we dive in, if you haven't already, make sure you tap that subscribe button and join this cult of a channel. Let's get counting. Kicking off the list at number 5, I Am Legend. Whenever I see this poster for the movie, I always think of that scene. You know which one I'm talking about. Will Smith stars in this zombie apocalypse film based off the 1954 Richard Matheson novel sharing the same title. The movie is set in a post-apocalyptic New York City. We see grass growing through major intersections. There's like animals running around. There's movie posters like falling off of buildings. It looks nice and quiet. It's always awesome. I mean, they're a little off on the release date for Batman vs Superman, but they still got a teaser in there as well. So we have Will Smith just whipping around a Mustang in New York. He's living the dream while also living in an absolute nightmare, of course. He plays a scientist named Robert Neville, and while fighting off zombies, this guy also has to try and come up with a cure to save all the humans using his own blood. He is immune to the virus, but these zombies, they don't just walk around all slow and just bite whoever's in their way. No, they're like hunters. They're like these bald hunters, and they like to stand in huddles too and like kind of like breathe. They're super fast and they're actually really strong. So dying is still a very real possibility in this world. You don't have to just get bit. The virus itself was man-made. It actually started as a cure for cancer, which sounds like an absolute treat. I love this movie a lot. Will Smith is honestly like one of the best actors ever. He plays this guy who's in the middle of losing his mind, basically. I mean, this scientist has been trying to save humans now for like 3 years, and he even sets up mannequins around the city in places that he does his rounds, so he can talk to them, at least practice speaking out loud in a conversational manner. I mean, 2020 has already shown some of us how crazy we can go in the matter of months. One day you're talking about movies, hanging out, doing some FaceTime, maybe hanging with your dog, just chilling, staying safe, and then the next day you're... What the hell are you... No! It's nice to know that during a global outbreak, we all watch Shrek over and over again, and that it's not just me. That's a-okay. One of the best parts about watching Will Smith play this character are these flashbacks. So during the movie, we of course see Neville dealing with the stresses of trying to save the world while he gets absolutely shredded in the meantime, but we also see flashbacks to him and his family when the virus first started. We see him with his wife and daughter. Now, of course, his daughter played by his actual daughter. You know how Will Smith does it. So over time, we see what happens to them. So while seeing him work stuff out as a lone survivor and then going back to that, it's kind of a nice blend. If you haven't seen I Am Legend, you owe it to yourself to go watch it right now. And if you have a dog, grab the dog, cuddle up with it, you know, watch it together, it'll be a fun time. Number 4, Zombieland. Now, it's of course weird to put comedies into this list, but it's Zombieland, come on. Released 2 years after I Am Legend, we got this treat in 2009. We were blessed with another instant zombie classic. After its release, fans were pretty much begging for a sequel. Directed by Ruben Fleischer and written by him and Rhett Reese, we get Zombieland, the movie we didn't know we needed. Basically, we have a world where zombies are of course running about, and instead of the classic wake up in a hospital, everyone's coughing, what's going on, why am I so hungry for flesh points of view, we watch this movie from a point of view that's really funny. So we have these two sisters, Abigail Breslin and Emma Stone, whose goal it is during all this is to head to a theme park, more or less. I would love to go to a theme park right now. Then we also have this badass Woody Harrelson, whose goal it is to find a Twinkie, the last Twinkie on Earth, rather. And Jesse Eisenberg, well, he just plays Jesse Eisenberg. One of the best things about Zombieland is the comedic fourth wall breaking. Rhett Reese was on board to write this, and then he went on to do Deadpool. So if you loved Wade Wilson and his style of gory R-rated narration, you'll love this movie no matter what. Jesse Eisenberg's character, Columbus, has a set of rules for surviving this dark time, and it's fun to see the outcome of what happens when you break said rules, one of which being the title to the recent Zombieland sequel, Double Tap. Overall, this movie is of course a dark comedy, but it is such a fresh take on the zombie game, kind of like how Deadpool came in during the superhero craze. It was great timing for a nice change of pace. Also, Bill Murray may or may not be the best part of this movie. I don't know. Go watch it, find out yourself. Number 3, World War Z. Directed by Mark Foster and written by Matthew Michael Carnahan and Drew Goddard. Funny enough, Drew Goddard is actually making an X-Force movie, which of course will be Deadpool's version of the Avengers. It's so weird, a lot of these horror writers end up in the superhero game down the road. Interesting. So World War Z stars Brad Pitt, Marielle Enos, and Daniela Cortez. Released back in 2013, World War Z tells the zombie tale of a retired United Nations special agent, Gary Lane, of course being played by the ever so handsome Brad Pitt. He's forced to leave his family to escort a team of scientists on a mission to save the world, or rather to find the cure first. And it's honestly quite the nail biter. We see this really cool action sequence that hasn't been done with zombie movies before. We see them all pile on top of one another to climb over this wall in Jerusalem. Also, I feel like that wall would take so many years to build. But this sequence is really cool. It has similar vibes to when all the White Walkers in Game of Thrones were just crowded around that frozen lake. Like seeing that many undead creatures figure something out at the same time, it's like instant panic. It ups the ante so quick. I love moments like these. I mean, when you pitch a zombie movie, odds are it's gonna sound the exact same as 1,000 other pitches. Especially with COVID happening now, oh my god, people are gonna be changing the zombie genre up soon enough. Just wait, I'm sure it's gonna happen. There's probably gonna be some terrible COVID zombie movie coming out on Netflix in like 2 hours. But with a movie about zombies, you need an extra element or something else to throw the zombies into. And this part in the movie, I feel like was that pitch. Just the idea of thousands of zombies crushing each other, trying to climb this wall, killing each other. Maybe they shouldn't have sang inside the walls. I don't know, just an idea. I love getting mad at horror movies, it's the best. We love hating survivors in this building. Number 2, Dawn of the Dead. Coming from one of my favorite filmmakers ever, Dawn of the Dead is directed by Zack Snyder. And this movie gave us the ultimate conversation starter. The movie itself was written by James Gunn and George Romero. James Gunn, of course, being the mastermind behind Guardians of the Galaxy and Slither, and George Romero, the genius behind Night of the Living Dead. The question this movie gave us was simple. Would you survive in the zombie apocalypse if you were inside of a mall? I mean, that's what everybody talked about after this movie, right? The first thing I wanted to do after rewatching this was play the game Dead Rising and just fight zombies with whatever I could find. Dawn of the Dead stars Sarah Polley, Ving Rhames, and Ty Burrell. It's always so fun watching comedic sitcom actors in a serious role, especially when they're jerks too, like this one. The film starts off from Anna's point of view. After a long shift working as a nurse, she heads home and the world has changed quite quickly. She sees her neighbor's daughter and she's, well, not looking too hot, that is. She bites her husband's throat and then her husband immediately attacks her. So off the bat, we see how insane these zombies act once being infected, and it's quite quick too, the process. Milwaukee is just not the same after this. This movie rocks. Zack Snyder has this specific tone in movies, and I'm glad he does DC comic movies now. He always uses Johnny Cash in his films and trailers, and it works so well. He has When the Man Comes Around in this movie, and then he uses Hallelujah in Justice League's trailer. I feel like he looks at movies in a musical way, and it's a lot of fun to watch. Same with James Gunn. The soundtrack for Guardians of the Galaxy is the best part. It actually helped write the story for that movie. So Dawn of the Dead is just a fun movie all around. It's made by people who like making fun movies. Usually when it comes to remakes, the new one isn't as strong, but having George Romero on board, obviously it worked. This is the classic zombie survival movie, and if you haven't seen it, it's a pretty good starting point. Funny moments, a good mix of characters. We have a nurse, a married couple, a police officer, a salesman. So odds are you're gonna relate to at least one of these characters. Where at movies like I Am Legend, if you don't like Will Smith as an actor for some reason, he's like the only guy. Where in this movie, it's more of like a group survival flick rather than a sad scientist who loves golfing. And finally, number 1, Shaun of the Dead. Now, I have to end this list off with my personal favorite, Shaun of the Dead, released in 2004. So right off the bat, viewers are treated to some of Edgar Wright's finest work. Edgar Wright is the genius behind the Three Flavors Cornetto trilogy. This, of course, kicking it off. So we start with Shaun of the Dead, and then Hot Fuzz, then The World's End. Each of these films are very different tonally, but each share the same director, Edgar Wright, and the same screenwriter slash actor, Simon Pegg, and they're both so good together. Shaun of the Dead opens up with Simon Pegg's character, of course being named Shawn, asking Nick Frost's character, Ed, if he needs anything from the shop. Cornetto, he simply replies. Now, right off the bat, we get this glorious one-shot opening. This one-shot shows, one, how oblivious Simon Pegg's character is because he's so distracted on getting his own life back together that he doesn't realize the state of the world around him. Terrifying and filled with bloodlust undead civilians. Everybody was just on to Edgar Wright. They were like, let's go. This movie was a parody, of course, to Dawn of the Dead, but people don't look at it in the same way that they do with regular parody movies, like Scary Movie, for example. It's not a parody where people just act like wacky versions of an already existing character. It's just a really funny and well-made movie. If you loved Baby Driver, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, or even The World's End, you'll love this movie simply by how it's written and shot. It's just fun to watch. It's done so well that even if you're not a fan of zombie movies per se, you'll find something in here that you like. Before we wrap up here, I'm gonna head to the comments section of one of our last videos titled Top 5 SCP Monsters You've Never Heard Of. Okay, the first comment comes from First Master Mavis. They say, if I throw you into hot water, will you turn into beef ramen? No, my arms will actually break if I fall in any direction ever because I'm made of noodles. And instead of blood, beef flavored spice will pour out. Like if a zombie bit my neck, it would just go, I would just replace it with more ramen. I'd fill it up and sand it down like that guy who fixes his sink with ramen. Tactical comments, Leviathan is the only movie to ever give me nightmares. I was pregnant when I saw it, and for a week every night I would dream a tentacle would burst out of my stomach and my son would come out attached to the monster from the movie. LOL. That's a horrible nightmare. The creature wasn't even, the most attractive, of course, so I'm sorry that that creature was living rent-free in your head. You've not given me nightmares through the internet. This is why we do the internet. This is what it's all about right here. That's it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you haven't already, make sure your notifications are turned on. That way you're up to date when our new videos drop, and then we even do live premieres sometimes. Then you can hop in the chat with us and we can all talk together. I'm Taylor McWatters, and I'll see you next time.